Not every horror wears a mask or haunts an old house. Sometimes the most unsettling things aren't ghosts, they're people. These are 5 stories where the danger doesn't come from the shadows, but from the seemingly normal lives we cross paths with every day. Because fear can come from anywhere. I used to host a graveyard shift radio show on a dusty little AM station just outside El Paso. Not much of an audience, truckers, insomniacs, night owls. I'd spin old rock records, read the weather, take the occasional call. It was quiet work. Until he started calling. I never got his name. But every night, same time, 2:14 a.m, he'd ring the station and request a song. His voice was smooth, unnaturally calm, too calm. "Hey man," he'd say, "play me, Don't Fear the Reaper." I didn't think much of it at first, just another late-night caller requesting a classic. But then, one night, he added something strange. "Play it for the guy in the red truck. He won't see the semi coming." He hung up, and not even 10 minutes later, the police scanner on my desk crackled to life. Accident on Interstate 10, red pickup, crashed into a semi, no survivors. The studio lights buzzed overhead. The on-air sign glowed red. I just sat there, staring at the mic. The next night, he called again. Play Highway to Hell for the guy sleeping in his car at exit 42, engines leaking gas. I played the song. I don't know why. Maybe I was scared not to. Another death, another coincidence. That's when I started recording the calls. Brought in an old cassette deck from home. Every time the phone rang, I hit record. He kept calling. Each time it was different. A robbery in a parking lot. A kid vanishing from a truck stop. A driver falling asleep at the wheel. The songs, always perfectly suited, but none of the calls ever showed up in the station's logs. Only my cassette tapes had proof he ever existed. Then, last Thursday, he said something I can't forget. "You ever wonder how it ends, DJ?" I didn't answer. Tonight's track is The End by The Doors. Play it loud. "Who's it for?" I asked. "You know who." Click. The lights flickered. The computer froze. The backup generator kicked in. There was no storm. I looked at the cassette deck. The tape had popped out, label facing up. Last set list. I swear, I never wrote that. I pressed rewind, play. Then, his voice, "Don't forget to sign off." And underneath it, faint but clear, was me. A recording from a tape I never saved. That's when I realised he wasn't predicting the deaths, he was replaying them. I walked out of that station, didn't even turn off the lights, didn't lock the door, I just left, drove until sunrise, checked into a motel halfway across the state. That was 3 days ago. I haven't slept since. When I do, I hear static, buzzing, his voice whispering my name. Just stopped at a gas station about an hour ago, paid cash, kept my head down. The clerk had a radio playing behind the counter. And guess what song came on? The End. I was flying home after a work trip, delayed flight, late arrival, almost 1 a.m. by the time I landed. I didn't want to deal with airport shuttles or overpriced taxis, so I ordered an Uber like I always do. Driver's name was Stephen. Silver Nissan Altima, 4.9 stars, all normal. He pulled up within 2 minutes. I tossed my bag in the back and climbed in. "Late night, huh?" he said. "Yeah," I muttered, half asleep already. We pulled out of the airport and merged onto the freeway. I leaned against the window and let my eyes close. But about 10 minutes into the ride, something felt off. Not wrong, just familiar. I opened my phone and checked the route. It was weird. We weren't taking the usual way home, not the highway I normally use, not even close. I zoomed in, and that's when I saw it. The route we were on had a little grey marker on the map, a faded pin, previously taken trip. That didn't make sense. I hadn't been to this part of the city, ever. I clicked the pin, it opened a list. There were 12 completed trips, same route, same pickup time, all in the middle of the night. I blinked. The pickup address, my house. All the trips were from my address, to the exact location we were headed now. I scrolled through the trip history. Same name, same driver, Stephen, same damn car. But I'd never ordered those rides, never. And they weren't showing on my ride history, only in the map cache. I looked up. "Hey, Stephen, have we driven together before?" I asked, trying to sound casual. He didn't answer at first, eyes locked on the road. Then, "Yeah, I think so. A few times." "Oh," I said, "I don't remember." "You were tired," he replied. "Always are." My stomach dropped. We were on a dark stretch of road now, woods on either side, no lights, no exits. I quietly opened the Uber app, hit the emergency button. Nothing happened. No sound, no confirmation, just a little spinning wheel, no signal. I switched to messages, tried texting a friend, message failed to send. I looked up. We were slowing down. I leaned forward. "Hey, actually, I think I gave you the wrong address. Can you take me back?" Stephen didn't answer. He just pulled onto a gravel road and kept driving. My heart was pounding now. I reached for the door handle. Locked. Every door locked. Even the window controls were disabled. I looked at the map again. We were less than a minute from the destination. A single pin in the middle of nowhere. A place I'd never been. A place I'd apparently been taken 12 times before. I started yelling, demanding he stop. He didn't flinch, didn't speak, just kept driving. And then we stopped. An empty field, no lights, no house, no other cars, just a clearing in the dark. He turned off the engine. Silence. Then he turned around and looked at me, calm, like this was all part of the plan. "You always wake up here," he said. His voice was low, matter of fact. You never remember the ride, but you always wake up, right out there." He pointed toward the field and smiled. I don't remember what happened next. Just black. I woke up in my bed the next morning, clothes still on, phone at 1%, no missed calls, no ride history. But when I opened my photos, there was a new image in my gallery, time-stamped 2:43 a.m. It was a picture. Taken from inside a car, me, passed out in the back seat, eyes half open, and in the reflection of the rearview mirror, Stephen staring right into the camera. I live in a quiet neighbourhood. Nothing fancy, just a row of older houses with chipped paint, patchy lawns, and neighbours who mostly keep to themselves, the kind of place where nothing really happens. Which is why I noticed when something did. It started maybe 3 weeks ago. I couldn't sleep, one of those restless nights where your mind won't stop turning over things that don't matter. That's when I heard it. A faint rhythmic sound. Metal scraping against something dense, muffled, repetitive. I looked out the window and saw my neighbour, Kyle, in his backyard, shovel in hand, digging, at 2:30 in the morning. The next morning, I figured maybe he was working on some project. Or maybe he had some kind of landscaping schedule that made sense only to him. But that night, he was at it again. Same time, same shovel, same steady digging. And every night after that, always between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m, I'd hear the same sound. Metal scraping soil, over and over and over. I couldn't help but stare. He wasn't making a garden. He wasn't laying pipes or pouring concrete. There was no structure, just a growing hole, a wide, shallow pit near the centre of his backyard, getting deeper every night. The weirdest part, he never moved the dirt. It just sat there, piled up around the edges, like he wanted it to be seen, like the mess was part of the message. Last week, I worked up the nerve to ask him about it. It was mid-afternoon. He was watering his lawn, normal, casual, like he wasn't spending his nights digging in the dark. I tried to keep it light. "Hey, Kyle, you working on something back there?" He smiled, too easily. "Just getting ready," he said. That's all. No explanation, no laugh, no follow-up. Just that weird little phrase, getting ready. After that, I started paying more attention. I noticed how tired he looked during the day. Dark circles, slow movements, always watching the sky, like he was waiting for nightfall, and the hole, it kept growing. By now, it was over 6 feet long, and deep. Deep enough for someone to climb into and not be seen. I tried telling myself it was just weird, not dangerous. Some guys are just off. But then I saw what he did last night. Around 2:15 a.m, I peeked through my blinds like I'd been doing. Same setup, same shovel. But this time, he wasn't digging. He was standing next to the hole, staring into it, just standing there, completely still. I watched for 10, 15 minutes, no movement. And then, slowly, he looked up. Not around, not into the distance, but right at me. Right at my window, through the dark. I dropped to the floor like a kid caught sneaking out. My heart was hammering. I didn't sleep. This morning, I checked again. The hole's been covered. Just like that. Filled in, flattened, like it was never there. But here's the thing. The pile of dirt is still there. And it's bigger. I don't know what he put in the ground last night. I don't want to know. But when I stepped outside to grab the mail this morning, I noticed something I hadn't before. There's a second spot in his yard now, freshly marked. Not dug up yet, just a rectangle of spray paint on the grass, right next to the first one. Same size, same shape, like he's planning something, like he's getting ready. And this time, the rectangle lines up perfectly with my yard. I walk my dog, Charlie, twice a day, once in the morning before work, and once at night before bed. We usually go to the little park a few blocks down. It's got a fenced-in dog area, some benches, and a few trees. Nothing fancy, but it's quiet. And the regulars are friendly. I know most of the people by now. The retired guy with the golden retriever, the woman who runs with her husky, the teenager who always forgets poop bags. But about 3 weeks ago, I noticed a new face. A tall man, late 40s maybe, glasses, khakis. He stood just outside the dog park fence, holding a leash. No dog. At first, I assumed the dog was nearby, maybe out of sight. But it became a pattern. Every evening, same time, same man, same empty leash. He never spoke to anyone, never smiled, just stood there and watched. At first, I chalked it up to weirdness. Maybe his dog died, maybe he was grieving, maybe he was lonely. I didn't know. But then I noticed something else. He was always watching the kids. There's a small playground across the path from the dog area. Sometimes families show up in the evenings. Mums, dads, strollers, laughing, playing. And whenever kids showed up, his attention shifted. Not directly, more like out of the corner of his eye. But you could tell. You can always tell. One night, I was leaving the park, and I saw him kneeling by the bushes near the playground, pretending to tie his shoe, still holding that leash, still no dog. I stopped walking, watched him. After a few seconds, he stood up and walked away quickly. Didn't even look at me. I started mentioning him to the other regulars. Have you seen that guy? The one with the leash but no dog. Most said yeah, they'd seen him. Weird, right? But no one thought much of it. He hadn't done anything. That's how these things go. They don't do anything until they do. A few nights later, I got to the park early. No one else was there yet. Charlie was off sniffing around. Then I saw him already there, standing at the edge of the trees, back turned. This time he had a treat bag clipped to his belt. Still no dog. When he turned around and saw me, he smiled. First time he ever acknowledged me. Evening, he said. I nodded. Didn't smile back. Charlie came running up and growled. He never growls, not unless something's really wrong. The man took a step back. His smile twitched. "Friendly dog," he said, then turned and walked into the trees. I reported him, told the park patrol, filed a non-emergency police report. They took notes, said they'd keep an eye out. That was it. No arrest, no questioning, because again, he hadn't done anything. Just weird behaviour, just standing too long, just watching. The next time I saw him, he had a dog. A little white mutt, thin, dirty, on a rope instead of a leash. He was walking it like nothing was weird, petting it, nodding at people, but I'd never seen that dog before. None of us had. I asked the retired guy, "You seen that dog before?" He shook his head. "Nope, not his." Then he leaned closer and whispered, "That dog looks scared." And he was right. It wasn't wagging its tail, wasn't sniffing other dogs, just followed the man, stiff, ears down, like it had been trained the hard way. 2 nights later, the dog was gone again. Back to the leash, back to standing outside the fence, back to watching. This time, he had a camera around his neck, not taking pictures of the park, not of the dogs. He was aiming it at the playground, at the families. Click, click, click. I took out my phone and started filming him. He saw me. His smile disappeared. He turned and walked off, fast. That night, I posted the video in a local neighbourhood group. The comments exploded. People had seen him outside schools, grocery stores. One woman said he tried to talk to her kid at a gas station. Someone got his license plate, turned it in. I don't know what happened after that. The post stopped. The man stopped showing up. No arrests were made, or if they were, they never told us. But the leash. A week later, someone found it, hanging from a tree branch behind the park. No dog, just the leash, and tied to the handle was a little tag. It said, "I miss watching." I moved in with Liam 6 months ago. We met through a university housing board. Seemed like a normal guy. Quiet, respectful, clean. Honestly, I felt lucky. The rent was cheap. The place wasn't falling apart, and we mostly stayed out of each other's way. But things started to feel off. Little things, at first. Lights I swore I turned off would be on in the morning. The fridge door, left open just a crack. My bedroom door slightly ajar, even though I always shut it before bed. I told myself I was just distracted. Midterms, stress, maybe even sleepwalking. Then I found the phone. It was wedged between the couch cushions. No case, screen locked. I thought it might have fallen out of Liam's pocket, but when I tapped the screen, I realised something was wrong. There was no passcode. The camera app was open, and it was recording, facing the hallway. I should have stopped there, confronted him, but curiosity took over. I stopped the recording and opened the gallery. What I found still doesn't feel real. Dozens of videos, all of me sleeping from different angles, different nights. Some were taken from the hallway, zoomed in through a crack in my door. Others were from inside my room. One was filmed from right next to my bed. And in every single one, I never moved, never noticed. Except the last video, it starts the same. I'm asleep, turned toward the wall. The angle is low, someone filming from the foot of my bed. Then a whisper starts, too soft to make out, but it's not coming from the person holding the phone. It's coming from the room, and then I roll over. My eyes stay shut, but my mouth starts to move. I'm saying something, slowly, repeatedly, like I'm struggling to get the words out. Why are you in my room? Why are you in my room? Why are you in my room? Over and over until the video cuts to black. I waited until Liam got home, phone in hand, heart pounding. I asked him, trying to stay calm, if he recognised it, if it was his. He just stared at it and said, "Nope, never seen it before." No panic, no defensiveness, just calm, like he'd practiced that exact answer. I wanted to believe him, but that night, back in my room, I noticed something I hadn't seen before, a small hole in the wall, just above my desk, not a crack, a perfectly round, drilled hole. Inside it, a tiny black lens, a camera. It's been 2 days. I've been pretending to sleep, staying still, letting the room stay dark, breathing slow, and last night it happened again. Around 2:37 a.m, I heard my door creak open, slow, soft footsteps, and someone moving carefully across the carpet. I didn't move, just listened, a quiet click, the sound of a camera powering on. Liam stood there for 5 minutes, just watching me, not moving, just watching. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I wanted to see what he'd do next. That's when he leaned in, right next to my ear, and whispered, "You do talk in your sleep, but you only say my name." Thanks for listening. That's all for now. 5 stories, 5 reminders that horror doesn't need a mask, just a human face and the right moment. This has been Velvet Hour. Sleep well if you can, and I will see you in the next video.